Okay.
Repeatedly from this podium, when asked about the situation in Aleppo, you advised people here to turn on their TVs, watch American television. Do you stand by that? Do you still recommend people do that if they want to learn credible reports about what's happening in Aleppo?
Oh, I think you're grossly mischaracterizing my comments. I didn't say that the only way to get informed about Aleppo is to turn on your TV. I was referring to questions about people dancing in the streets. And I didn't deny, unlike what's been out there on Twitter, I didn't deny that there aren't images of people that may have been happy about what happened in Aleppo. I said I hadn't seen them, which at the time I hadn't. But I also encouraged people to look at news coverage, the broad swath of news coverage about what's going on in Aleppo, and I think you can see that through the imagery that's being conveyed, mostly by television news coverage, but not only, you can see the devastation that's being wrought on the people of Aleppo and the innocent men, women, and children that are still there, that still are trying to get out and still haven't received any humanitarian aid. So let's not oversimplify what I said.
Well, let me ask you, one of the things that was highlighted on American television was these final messages from people, right? They were tweeting out, this is their final message. As soon as the city is liberated, we're going to be killed. And these messages turned out to not be final messages. I mean, not a single one of these people ended up being slaughtered. So is it still credible to watch American media?
Well, I talk about a loaded question. So I don't know. Maybe you have specific knowledge about every person that sent a tweet.
I have some specifics here if you want to get into that.
No.
Okay.
If you let me finish,
Sure.
Then we can have this conversation. Maybe you have more knowledge about the individuals tweeting. I don't. And my goodness, if every single person that thought they were going to die at the hands of the Syrian armed forces with the support of Russia didn't die, are you claiming that's a bad thing? I think that's a pretty darn good thing. So I can't speak for the fact that some may have survived and some didn't, but the fact that they believed it at the time and were honestly scared about their lives and the livelihoods of their friends and family seemed pretty legitimate to me based on the social media interaction that I saw. If that didn't happen to them, then I think that's terrific, obviously, and we should all be rejoicing in the fact that they were able to survive the onslaught and the siege and the surrender tactics of the regime and its backers. Now, as for the American media, I think the reporting coming out of Aleppo, some of what we're seeing is pretty darn courageous reporting, pretty brave, and I think it's pretty important. And I always advocate, whenever anybody asks me about media coverage, to read and digest a broad array of media, not just U.S. media, but foreign media as well. Take it all in, take all those sources, and make your own judgments. But absolutely, I think it's important that independent, third-party media coverage of whatever the issue is, and we're talking about Aleppo, it could be anything, is vital. It's vital to the public so that they can better understand what's going on. So if you're asking me if I think that following the U.S. media with respect to what's going on in Syria is important, the answer is absolutely yes.
One of the journalists who was quoted and featured across American mainstream media is Belil Abdul Karim. Here he is being interviewed. And this individual, we also have some of his other journalism. And here he is with someone, this is what he, in his words, describes as an explosive vest. And this is an interview he did with a fighter in an explosive vest. He reports, "The fighters are now preparing to leave the city. This is an explosive belt. This is what many fighters are wearing because they don't feel they can trust the regime." Is this an unbiased, credible source, this person standing next to what looks like a potential suicide bomber?
Look, I'm not going to speak to every single news account that you can sit there and cite, sir. What I can tell you is, as I said, I think the broad swath of coverage about what's going on in Syria is worth people paying attention to. And people have to decide for themselves what they're going to find credible and what they're not going to find credible. But if by the tone of your questioning or by the questions themselves you're trying to imply that what's going on in Aleppo is nothing more than a liberation festival or a parade of proud, happy people that they're being liberated, I think that is ludicrous. And I think it is not backed up by any stretch of normal independent reporting that we've seen coming out of there. Now, I'm not going to debate each and every account with you. I'm not going to get into an argument over each and every story that's been filed. But I think the the travesty that has become Aleppo is clearly and should be squarely put on the regime's doorstep, as well as their backers in Russia and Iran.
No one denies that carnage.
This man,
Steve.